Hello, my friends. Let's go to the question of the day. And the question is this: what do you ignore before everything goes wrong? Welcome, my friends. I'm Fred. Here we talk about investment, business, real life, and training. And actually, I put together a few insights here for us to evaluate. So let's talk about this. What do you ignore before everything goes wrong? You ignore the small signals because you want to avoid discomfort. Almost nothing goes wrong all at once. Before everything collapses, there are signals. Small ones, a strange feeling in a conversation, a result that doesn't make sense, a repeated behavior, an internal voice telling you something is off. So, this is the first insight. And I believe that this is most important, mostly for relationships. I commit that kind of mistake when I was married, for example. I was doing something that wasn't going to my ex-wife wasn't going to be okay with that. She gave me the signs. She tried to talk, she tried to convince me otherwise, to do differently. I ignore all of them and keep doing what I thought at the moment that would be what I was what I wanted to do. And my marriage was in a certain moment she left, and she was right. This is the most important thing that I want to tell you guys right now here. She was right in doing that. We were together for 17 years, 10 years marriage, and 7 years as boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't know if I can say this that way, boyfriend and girlfriend, or it would be better if I said something like 7 years dating. You guys can help me with that. But we were together for 17 years. And after all we went through, I believe that she was right leaving. And I ignored the signs during the relationship. But after the relationship ending, I was able to rethink everything and reestablish myself in a better way. But that circumstance does not change the fact that during the marriage I ignored the signs. So I was thinking about that. For example, it's easy for me, for at least, to change my behavior in other kind of stuff that are not relationships. In business, in investments, in training, is easier. As soon as I get the knowledge, for example, if you try to explain for me that a certain way of training is better than another way, if I check everything and I see that this is true, I'll change. But many times in relationships, things are not like that. You are going to think that the situation will never change. That you can do whatever you want and the other person are not going to leave you. But eventually that's exactly what happens. So let's check out the second insight here. This one is very good. You ignore it because you are already emotionally invested. For example, let's think about this in investments. Sometimes you put your money, let's say you put your money in a certain stock. You bought that specific stock. It happened to me. A certain time I bought a certain stock here in Brazil, very famous at that moment, and it was going up month after month, very fast, was going up almost every month. Something crazy, more than 2000%, something like this. The numbers were that high. And then at certain moment, I enter. I'll at the moment that I bought the stock at the first time, let's say that the value was $10. So let's think about that. And then the stock start going down, and it went down for many months. It was something like, it seems to me that that moment that it was just expect me to buy the stock to start to go down. And from $10 it went, for example, to $5, which means 50%. At that moment I bought the same amount of stocks again. I double my bet, let's say, at that moment. So I pull the my average price down from $10 for $7.50. But it doesn't stop there. It keeps going down for many more months, and I was reluctant about selling it because I was wrong. That's one of the principal reasons that I stopped buying single stocks. Now I invest mostly on ETFs, especially American ETFs, even though I am located in Brazil. And why I do that? Because if you buy individual stocks, you are you think that you are able to predict the future, that you know what is going to happen with each company, you know. And we can't do that. Simple as that, man. We can't do it. So um, it keep going down until something like $1, something like that. So imagine my emotional position at that point. I was My average price was $7.50, and it was the price of the stock at that moment was $1. Then I bought again, and I believe that at that moment I tripled the bet. I more than doubled it again because the price was so low that I tried to pull it much more. And then I was in something like $3 at that moment. And I waited for, I don't know how long, but maybe for more 6 months. And at a certain point, the price of the stock reached that price that I was in, and I sold it. All right, nothing happens. I didn't lose money at that occasion, but I kept the teaching, the knowledge, not to do it. Because sometimes you fell in love with that stock or with that line of investment, with that kind of way of thinking. Now let's go to the third insight here. You ignore it because it hasn't hurt enough yet. When you think about that, you can see that this is related with the first one. that you ignore the signs. And why you ignore the signs? You ignore the signs because the signs doesn't hurt. For example, in the marriage situation that I explained for you guys, all the things that I needed to change when I was married, while I was married, now I change it. And it has been 5 years since I got divorced. And now I change it, everything. Now I am okay. I don't think that my ex-wife would like to know that. But simple as that. So, first insight. There are always signs and you ignore them. Second one, you are emotionally bounded, emotionally attached with that situation, with that thing that you are doing wrong. And that's why. And the third situation is this, that it doesn't hurt enough yet. At the moment that you feel the pain, this is going to be the moment that you will be able to change. Simple as that. All right, my friends. Nice to talk to you. Let me know in the comments what you think about this subject, and see you in the next video.